information. I say, okay, ladies, now let's get information. I say, okay, ladies, now let's get information. I say, okay, ladies, now let's get information. I say, okay, ladies, now.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Erica Hinton, and I'm reporting live from the University of Texas at San Antonio. Today, I will be shedding light on a very controversial topic, discovering the link between President Donald Trump and the International Women's Marches, which took place on January 21st. This was exactly one day after his presidential inauguration. Devastated on the outcomes of the election, retired attorney Teresa Shook of Hawaii took matters into her own hands. Her actions will lead to the largest march in history, the Women's March on Washington. But why? Were women only in protest of the election of Donald Trump, or were there other demands for change? And what did the March on Washington have to do with the rest of the world? Join me as I uncover answers to these probing questions. I will analyze several media publications in the United States and the British media. I will also analyze theories such as media framing and agenda setting to better understand the media's perspective on the International Women's Marches. Welcome back. According to the Huffington Post, on the night of the presidential election of Donald Trump, a devastated Teresa Shook created a Facebook invitation. By the next morning, there were over 10,000 RSVPs for the protest. Fashion designer Bob Bland also posted her stance online the night of the election, along with similar Facebook pages. They decided to consolidate their pages and gain thousands of followers. This was the beginning to the official Women's March on Washington. According to their stance on January 12th, the march organizers released a policy platform addressing these issues. As a result, many people globally were marching to express concern about their political future of their own country. Before I begin my analysis, I will give you an overview of the International Women's Marches. The catalysts of the International Women's Marches were designed to send a bold message to the new administration on their first day in office, and to the world that women's rights are human rights. According to womensmarch.com, on January 23, 2017, at least 408 marches were reported to have been planned in the United States and 168 in 81 other countries. After the marches, officials reported that 673 marches took place worldwide, on all 7 continents, including 29 in Canada, 20 in Mexico, and 1 even in Antarctica. In Washington, D.C. alone, the protests were the largest political demonstrations since the anti-Vietnam War protests in the 1960s and 70s. The Women's March crowds in Washington, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, and Seattle were estimated to total 2 million people. I was able to use 2 theories to better help understand the media's perspective. In the book, Agenda Setting, by James W. Deering and Everett Rogers, says that agenda setting theory is an ongoing competition among issue proponents to gain the attention of media professionals, the public, and policy elites. That is, if a news item is covered frequently and prominently, the audience will regard the issue as more important. In the book Bias, a CBS insider exposes how the media distort the news. Bernard Goldberg talks about how media bias is an avenue for which news stations and publications to force their own agendas to their audiences. Media frames refer to the way media and media gatekeepers organize and present the events and issues they cover, and the way audiences interpret what they are provided.
First, a few words about this program. We are going to hold the media accountable in a fair, aggressive, and unbiased way. We'll look at the way stories are covered and framed, sometimes hyped, sometimes ignored, and we won't be shy about calling people out for mistakes, conflict, sensationalism, or acknowledging our own errors when they happen.
Moving forward, let us take a look at some questions concerning foreign and local news coverage on the International Women's Marches. Here is a brief video from San Antonio, Texas. Hi, this is Erica Hinton. I'm reporting live from the 27th Annual Women's Rights March. I would like to know, what does it mean for you today to participate in this Women's March?
It's important because it's a show of solidarity and knowing that there are other people who care about the same things I care about.
Can you expand a little bit more about that, how you really feel as a woman with President Trump in office?
No, I don't like it. Every rhetoric he has, from women to immigrants, anything really. He's kind of just against anything like I hold dear and I stand for. Like, he's just insulted all of it.
Let us take a look at some questions concerning foreign and local news coverage on the International Women's Marches. How did CNN and Fox News cover the women's marches? How did the Fox News network frame the women's marches? Did they provide unbiased coverage? Finally, how were the marches covered internationally? For the research, I analyzed 10 sources of news coverage from 1 to 5 days after the marches. 3 articles were from the United States, including CNN and Fox, and 3 international articles to include The Telegraph and The Guardian. I also viewed 5 media videos on YouTube for content. I will be looking for the amount of coverage times for CNN and Fox News and how the stories were framed. Finally, how does the coverage differ from each network? Despite the historic nature of the event, Fox News had limited coverage on the marches, while CNN covered it almost non-stop throughout the day. The Los Angeles Times' Mary McNair reported that minimal coverage on Fox compared to MSNBC and CNN firmly reinstated the historical divide between Fox News and its competitors. CNN, the trusted news source that international media such as The Guardian went to as a credible source on the women's marches. CNN's coverage on the marches more than quadrupled the coverage on Fox News. PolitiFact compared closed captioning transcripts of the 3 networks for terms Women March and Women's March and found large disparities between Fox and the other 2 cable networks. CNN mentions women and march nearing 100 times, and Women's March said 23 times. Fox coverage clearly lagged, using the term Women's March only 12 times on air, with Women and March said 28 and 32 times each. Fox News media critic Howard Kurtz offered a lukewarm admission that his network had not given enough coverage to the march. He stated on his show, Media Buzz, that perhaps Fox News undercovered it. Kurtz also suggested that a CNN headline about the marches sending a message to Trump was overplaying what happened.
CNN and MSNBC offered virtually nonstop coverage of a huge women's march here in the nation's capital and other major cities across the country. We're back with the panel. So while CNN and MSNBC were wall to wall, Fox kind of dipped in and out, perhaps undercovered it. I'd be interested to hear your view on that.
Did Fox under, and probably both of those arguments are correct in my view. We should have probably done more.
Fox News received criticism for its minimal coverage of the historic Women's March and on the sister marches worldwide. These marches brought together millions of people to stand up for human rights under the Donald Trump administration. It wasn't hard to find information on the framework in which most Fox News reporters and anchors framed the marches. On January 23, 2017, Steve Moore of Fox News wrote, "Clearly, it was anti-Trump. What were these women thinking?" In light of the research, news coverage internationally framed the marches as anti-Trump and painted Trump in a negative light. International news outlets stood in solidarity with the issues being protested in the United States. Internationally, foreign leaders have called for support. In London, Mayor Sadiq Khan, who refers to the U.S. presidential election, told CNN that Trump's views on Islam were ignorant. Posted a tweet also encouraging Londoners to join the march and show how much we value the rights every woman should have. In conclusion, I found throughout my research that Fox News Network is more concerned with their own agendas. Fox News was based and framed their coverage on the women's marches in a negative light. This may be directly correlated to their endorsement of Donald Trump. This proves that political ideology drives news selection rather than objective coverage and free-flowing information. Fox News used agenda setting in their lack of reporting on the women's marches. Fox painted a picture to their audience that the evidence and the event was not important. In many instances, Fox News framed the marches with negative connotations, downplays, insults, and humor. According to Huffington Post, CNN painted a more realistic portrayal of the marches. CNN used agenda setting to alert their audience of the importance of the marches with their steady coverage and framing in the positive light. Also, CNN stated more facts about the march and its origins. Following the march, the organizers of the Women's March on Washington posted 10 actions for the first 100 days campaign for joint activism to keep up the momentum from the marches. The marches that took place on January 11, 2017 truly showed what democracy looks like internationally. I'm Erica Hinton, and thanks for joining me.